Hello everyone in Awaken the Goddess Within. Welcome to this Wisdom Wednesday talk. I'm going to be sharing about how to make every day Earth Day. And this is a topic that is really near and dear to my eco-green heart. I've been an environmentalist and earth activist for ever. Honestly, forever. I have always really felt connected to the planet, in love with our beautiful earth. Say hello in the comments and we're going to get started. In case you don't know me, my name is Flora and I am the focalizer for this online group, Awaken the Goddess Within, and it is my privilege and my pleasure to be the hostess for this sacred online space. I am a sacred leadership mentor and a circle priestess, and I am deeply devoted to walking the path of a priestess, and a big part of this path for me is sharing and showing my love for the earth. So what I'm going to be covering, three main areas that I'm going to be covering in this talk today. The first section is going to be my top tips for reducing your footprint. So that's, it's going to be a lot of tangible, practical tips that we can do in different areas of our life to be more environmentally conscious. The second section, I'm going to share about how our divine feminine spirituality is really intrinsically linked to eco-consciousness. And if it isn't for you, that I think it needs to be, and I'm going to be sharing some food for thought around that, that they aren't separate. And then the third, I'm going to end with sharing a simple practice that you can do every day to feel more connected to Mother Earth, to feel the love that the planet has for us as well, and reminding us that it's not just us that loves the earth really does love us in return. All right, so I see a bunch of women joining. Please say hi in the comments. And like I said, I really want this to be a discussion, and no blaming, no accusations. I know that I can be passionate, but I don't want to be pedantic today. Okay, so top tips. I want to start by talking about in the area of food. I've got 3 tips here. Hi, Sue. Thanks for saying hello. So number 1 tip around food in reducing your footprint is to buy more whole foods than food products. In case you don't know what I mean by that, whole foods are real foods that come from the earth or from the animals of the earth. Hello, Melanie. Thanks so much for joining in. Whole foods are in their original form for the most part, whereas in the last 100 years, we have suddenly developed food products. And that's when things are added to it to make it more shelf stable. There's also usually, they're packaged, right? It's often packaged. And when you buy more whole foods than food products, you're buying less packaging, less waste, and it's really better for you and the planet. So, and when you go into the grocery store, I want you to think about this more. You can look at your cart, you can look at kind of what you're normally eating. Are you eating whole foods, or are you eating more food products? And that little shift can really reduce the footprint. And like I said, it's better for you and the planet. And that's something I'm going to be saying a lot of in this talk, and I really want to hammer that point home. Often what's better for us and our body is better for the planet, and there's a reason for that, and because we are made of the same stuff, we are connected. So number 2, my second tip in the area of food is to buy organic, local, free range, unsprayed, whatever it is. Buy that kind of food as often as possible. The less toxins that we put into our soil, not only does that create better conditions for our agricultural workers, but it reduces our internal pesticide and toxin intake, right? And so this is, this is another thing. And I know what's the big block that most people have about buying organic food? What is it, right? It's too expensive, or I can't afford it. And while it's true that a lot of those products are more, often, especially nowadays, us as consumers, when we demand that, when we buy it, there increases the demand. We're going to start to see a lot of those products start to be really similarly priced. And even now, often when you're getting something that's in season or it's local, maybe it's not organic. Like, perfect example is like local unsprayed blueberries, and I support from local farmers rather than the imported blueberries up from California, right? Because I live in BC, Canada. When the berries are in season, I want to support local unsprayed blueberries. And so then that's going to, I know that the conditions on the farm are good. I know that I'm not ingesting toxins, and I'm also supporting local farmers. So really consider that when you are in what you're buying. The third tip I have around food and reducing your footprint is to eat less meat. Now, I'm sure all of you, or a lot of you, have heard this as a tip for environmental consciousness with our food. I want to be fully transparent that I'm not a full vegetarian. I have been fully vegetarian at a few different times in my life, but I'm not a full vegetarian now. However, I am mainly vegetarian, and my reasons are environmental. If we really want to reduce the human impact on the environment, the simplest and cheapest thing that anyone can do is to eat less meat. Just eat less meat. Animal farming is responsible for a lot of the world's deforestation, as well as a high consumption of non-renewable resources. So just for example, in case maybe you haven't known why people encourage to eat less meat, as for an environmental, it's just for one example, considering the water consumption. When you eat meat, when you eat a steak, when you eat a chicken, you are consuming all the water that that animal is needed to live and grow. You're not like actually consuming the water, but you know what I mean? Like, think about all the water that it's taken to for that animal to live and grow. And for example, it takes like 200 pounds of water to produce 1 pound of potatoes. As I got this stat online, it takes about 200 pounds of water to produce 1 pound of potatoes. Whereas a pound of beef requires 9,000 liters. That's 20,000 pounds of water. 20,000 pounds of water for this same, like a pound of potatoes versus a pound of beef. So, and then also with the dairy farming, it takes like nearly 1,000 liters of water to produce 1 liter of milk. So if you're drinking dairy, like, think about that. You're not just drinking the 1 liter of milk. It took 1,000 liters of our fresh water to produce that milk. So eat less meat, eat less dairy. There's lots of options out there. It's one of the best things that we can do to reduce our footprint. And that's not even taking into account the inhumane treatment of animals, right? It's not even taking into account that we will ingest probiotics, antibiotics and hormones that are used in animal farming. So there's a lot of reasons to eat less meat. And even with seafood, ocean fish, I'm sure that like high levels of mercury toxicity in many fish. So there's a lot of reasons to eat less meat and drink less dairy. Okay. for your beauty care, in reducing your footprint. Really, the best thing that you can do is to make your own natural products or support a local kitchen witch who does, right? Our skin, as I'm sure you know, is our largest organ, and it absorbs all the petrochemicals that we put on our skin, whether it's lotion, shampoo, toothpaste, our makeup, you know, all of that. So really important for you to look at the products that you're using in your beauty care routine and seeing what chemicals are in there. And so find the local natural products, or make your own, or even online shopping that you can. There's so many new companies that are making organic, natural products that don't have all of the petrochemicals that we really don't want to put. We don't want to put it on our skin. We don't want to put it into the earth, right? So that's something to be aware of. And with in our home, when we think about our environment in our home, one of the things I really wanted to say is, you know, if you're using those artificial fragrances, fragrance sprays or deodorizers, all that stuff, it's all chemicals. It's bad. It's bad. There's lots of natural options for you to freshen up your room, to bring scent into your home. And you can use essential oils. You can get a diffuser and do essential oils. You could use natural incense instead. Of course, you could bring in cut flowers. I know that cut flowers can also be a bit controversial, but maybe you grow your own, cut the flowers, bring in the natural flower fragrance, or open up your windows, you know, just bring it, let the fresh air, get some good circulation, maybe have a fan that helps with the ventilation, all these things that can help with home odors that is not Febreze, okay? That it's all chemicals. As well, a big thing, really being aware of how much paper and plastics you use, right? No one needs to use paper towels, really. We do not need paper towels. This is like something that, that just really weighs heavily on my heart, how much paper we waste. You can use a cloth, right? We don't need paper towels. You know, and plastic bags. There's really, in this day and age, there's no excuse for anyone to not have reusable cloth bags for their grocery shopping, and also even like the inside bags. You can use mesh bags, or you could reuse containers. I mean, yes, I know there will be that time where you find yourself at the store and you're maybe not prepared, but I always have a reusable material bag that tucks up into itself, just as one is little big. I just always have it in my purse. I'm always ready. So whenever I am out shopping and I get something, I never take a plastic bag home with me. And yes, when we do our big weekly shop, we make sure that we always have our bags, and we reuse containers as much as possible. And, you know, all it does is takes a little bit of extra forethought, and then before you know it, it'll be your habit, right? So, and in general, like, don't buy products that are overly packaged in plastic. Just don't buy them. We vote with our dollars, right? Oh, Sue's joining in. Thank you. No paper plates or plastic cups and silverware. Yeah, right? You really want to reduce that. I know that there is compostable paper plates and stuff that, you know, if you're having a picnic or you're having that, I mean, obviously paper, you can at least, like, you can burn and it will compost. But yeah, the plastic stuff, yeah, like, we're creating all this plastic. Really, only in less than 100 years, we've created all the plastic that has ever been created in the history of humankind. And they're estimating that a lot of that plastic won't even biodegrade for another 500 years. And I wonder, how do they even know that? How do you test that? If you think, oh yeah, it'll biodegrade in 500 years. Like, it's really astonishing. So, you know, even like tampon applicators, if you're still using plastic tampon applicators, please stop, change your brand. You know, if you feel like you still need an applicator, again, get a paper one at the very least. and then maybe move towards a non-applicator tampon. There's a lot of waste around that. Yeah, and it's just, again, just being really mindful of all of this stuff. And then the last thing I want to say for the home is to, again, around natural cleaning products. You want to be aware of the cleaning products that you're using. Good old vinegar and baking soda, right? It works really well. Again, with the essential oils, that's another great thing to use. And if you have an alkaline water machine, the high alkaline water setting is a disinfectant. It is. And so there's just lots of options, again, for using natural cleaning products, natural fragrances, all of that in the home. Okay, and the last few top tips that I have, I want to now talk about our environment, and even like our own yards and gardens, right? As well as like the bigger environment. Plant flowers that will attract bees and butterflies and other pollinators. We really want to support our pollinators. And that's a whole other topic about the collapse of bee colonies and what's happening with them. I'm close friends with a lot of beekeepers here in the Okanagan, and it's a whole other topic, but you can plant flowers in your garden that will attract bees and butterflies and pollinators. So that's a great thing to do. A second thing is plant trees, right? Plant trees. There's a beautiful old Chinese proverb that says the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today, right? And often we can't necessarily plant trees maybe in our own yard, or if you live in an apartment and stuff. So you can find local organizations that organize like big group tree plantings, and I've done a lot of them myself, where we go out and we feel so accomplished at the end of the day, because as a group we've like planted 500 trees that day or whatever it is. And so plant flowers, plant trees. And then my third tip around the environment is to donate to local or global environmental organizations that you support. What's one thing that you really want to support? Do you want to help support conservation of our wild natural spaces? Do you want to help support the cleaning up of our shorelines, right? All the plastic in our oceans. Do you want to support those efforts? Do you want to support like local park efforts in your community? Do you want to help protect endangered species? Again, like I said, we vote with our dollars. Put your money where your mouth is, and make some donations to support these organizations that are actively doing the environmental work that not all of us can do on an everyday basis, right? But these are all the tips that we can do on an everyday basis. All right. Moving on to the second section. And so how our divine feminine spirituality and eco-environmental consciousness is intrinsically linked. Perhaps the most differentiating point between early goddess religions and modern divine feminine spirituality versus the main world religions and modern science is the belief that the earth is the body of goddess God, right? The earth, or if we want to think even bigger, the cosmos. The cosmos is the physical body of goddess God, or divine source. That is the main differentiating belief, because this pantheistic view of God being in every living thing is in stark contrast with the belief that God is an entity outside of ourselves, above our world, and separate from us. So this is what has been told to us in the main world religions, that God is separate from us, separate from the world, an entity above our world, and that belief, right? Whereas earth-based religions, goddess spirituality, we believe that the goddess God is in everything, and that means ourselves as well as every little thing and the planet. right? That is the main differentiating factor. So if you profess to love the goddess, but you continue to make choices that pollute her body, then there's a disconnect there. And I believe that I know why, because this is I think this is a holdover from those beliefs, that either from your own religious upbringing or from just that insidious view being in our culture, right? So when we fully embody the knowing of God being within us, and every living animal, plant, every landscape, then that wisdom shows through in our actions. So I want you to really look at where your beliefs and your actions are maybe out of alignment with that, right? And again, no judgment. I'm not wanting to point fingers. I'm wanting to bring this up, that this is how, for me and for everyone that is part of this more modern, ancient, future, divine feminine spirituality, that respecting the earth, loving the planet, it's innate, it's inherent in our faith, because we believe this. So I really want you to think about this deeply, right? I really want you to think about this deeply. And, it's that old belief that we're separate from the divine, and that earth is like a lonely rock floating in the universe, being watched over by an all-knowing entity, instead of the planet, our earth, and ourselves being a living embodiment in the body of divine energy. It's really like painful, right? That's a painful disconnect. This illusion of separation from Goddess God is really at the root of all of our violence and destruction. I want to say that again. This is an illusion of being separate, but it's what we've been told, it's what we've been taught for millennia now. So it's not like it's any surprise that this belief is still prevalent, right? What's something that we need to heal, that we are not separate. Goddess, God, divine source is not separate from us, not separate from the planet. And recognizing our own interconnectedness with each other and with the earth, then that really shifts our inner beliefs, which then inform our thoughts, which then fuel our actions and our choices, right? So yeah, just to wrap up this section, that we are all, the divine is in us, and to really think about how your actions are representative of this belief, that the earth is the body of Goddess God, and really embodying that knowing. So finally, I want to wrap up by sharing a simple practice that you can do, and it's earthing. Who's heard of earthing? Let me know in the comments if you've heard of earthing before. This is it's a type of grounding practice, essentially, where you are barefoot outdoors. And so, like I said, you can do it every day, almost every day. I know, hey, I'm in Canada. It gets cold over the winter, but so almost every day. You do it every day, that's wonderful. So earthing, like I said, it's like you barefoot, spend some time barefoot outdoors. And so this compounds the benefits of a grounding practice with the benefits of being in nature, right? There's so many benefits to just being in nature. So with earthing, you are literally resetting the electrical currents of your physiology, because you're connecting right into the earth. This reconnects us to our source, right? It helps remind us of our interconnectedness. And in time, if you do this practice more, in time, it will dissolve any residues that may be left of that belief in separation that I've been speaking of. So if in this talk, maybe you've noticed that you're thinking, oh, I think I do still have some holdover belief that the divine is something outside of me, something separate of me. This is earthing is a great practice to regularly get into, to feel how, you know, our body, our physical body is made of the same materials as the earth. And so it's like a literally plugging in to source. And this way we can feel connected to the earth. We can feel, we feel that oneness. It's a recharging, right? Because it's affecting our physiology, our electrical currents, our aura. What I love to is actually lying down, right? Lying down right on the earth, looking up at the sky and breathing with the earth and feeling my breath and the wind and the trees, feeling my heart beat in rhythm with the heartbeat of Gaia. And, I just don't know how anyone could do that practice and still feel separate from Earth, separate from God, because we aren't. So spending more time outdoors, really with the bare feet, or at least with your back on the ground, it's such a beautiful practice. So let me know if you're inspired to try some earthing, if this is new for you. If you do it and you want to share about your experience here in the group, I definitely want to hear about it. Thank you to everyone who watches this replay, and really all of my love for all of us here. And like I said, I know that we're all doing our best. I'm not perfect. We're all just trying our best. I'm definitely not perfect, but I really, really wanted to bring this into the forefront of our conversation, our consciousness. It's not enough to only have one day a year where we're thinking about the earth and our, the environmental impact of our choices. Really, we do need to make every day Earth Day. So thank you so much. Have a beautiful rest of your day. And like I said, I want to open up more of these conversations, hear about your experiences, and thank you so much for your presence here. Bye for now.